Welcome back. Previously, we talked about the details concerning the murder of young Dolph. This time we're going to take a deep dive into the exact timeline, from right before the first of 3 times young Dolph got shot at, down to where we are now with this present day case. This timeline not only concerns young Dolph, but the many characters included. By the end of this video, you will know who the 2 most likely shooters are, and why we are so confident. Also, you will know who's calling the shots and how this is connected to the gang wars in Memphis. So without any further ado, let's get started. In 2014, Yo Gotti wanted to sign a new hot rapper, and his name was Young Dolph. Dolph said he looked up to Gotti, but ultimately had to decline the offer because of how Gotti spoke about his other artists. Gotti quickly bounced back from the rejection and found another young artist to sign, named Blac Youngsta. And in September 2015, he signed him to the Cocaine Music Group. After Blac Youngsta signed to Yo Gotti's record label, he went on a Twitter rampage against young Dolph, even saying that he slapped the shit out of him. This feud went on for quite some time, until in February of 2017, young Dolph released a song called Play With Yo Bitch, in which he made public accusations of sleeping with Yo Gotti's wife. Yo Gotti, however, must not have found the song very entertaining, because later that same month, on February 26, 2017, at 6:30 p.m., young Dolph's van was shot 100 times and 8th at North Caldwell Street in Charlotte, North Carolina. Young Dolph was inside the vehicle at the time, but remained unscathed. Young Dolph went on to release a song called 100 Shots, asking the question, how can you shoot at me 100 times and miss? He also named his album Bulletproof. But in May 16th of that same year, 2017, Blac Youngsta surrendered to the police for the 100 Shots shooting. But later on that same month, in May 30th, Blac Youngsta released a diss track called Shake Something. Then fast forward to September in 2017. Rapper Young Dolph has been shot and left in critical but stable condition after an argument on the streets in Hollywood, Los Angeles. After Dolph's shooting, a lot of people suspected, since Blac Youngsta couldn't actively go shoot, instead that he sent someone else to do the job. After the shooting, the feud died down and no one heard from it in years. Until in 2021, Yo Gotti claimed to be the king of Memphis, but then young Dolph came on the street claiming to be the king of Memphis. And after that, a feud began for a 3rd time. But this time, the situation had gotten far more complicated. Now let's take a second to set the stage for what is to come. I'm going to tell you a brief side story of something that happened on November 10th, 2021. On that day, a man named Terrion Owens carjacked a woman by the name of Valerie Wilkerson at the Kroger Fuel Center on 2835 Kirby Road in Memphis, Tennessee. The victim was in her white E-Class Mercedes when she was approached by 2 men with AKs demanding her car. And when she refused to give it to them, they struck her in the mouth with the butt of the gun. At this time, Miss Wilkerson left and fled off on foot. When the 2 carjackers noticed they couldn't start the car, they dragged the lady back to the car until she would hand over the keys and start it. They hit Miss Wilkerson in the back with the gun. One fled off in the white Mercedes and the other in a dark SUV. This car was then passed around to a CEO Bobby and a JoJo Splat, to where they proceeded to take a slew of pictures inside the car. A few days before the murder of young Dolph, this same vehicle was used in a double homicide of 2 women. According to Onan TV, on the 12th of November 2021, Terrion Owens developed as a possible suspect, and Wilkerson picked him out of a lineup. Also, he had a prior charge of aggravated burglary from 10/24/2016 by Judge Croft. Later on that same day, cops conducted a routine traffic stop of Owens in a blue Honda Civic. Owens, who was not wearing a seatbelt, began to flee on foot, and after the police had a brief foot pursuit, they soon took Owens into custody. Fast forward to November 17, 2021. Young Dolph is shot at Makeda's. Young Dolph was inside the store that he frequents when 2 men walked up to the drive-thru and shot the rapper dead where he stood. The 2 most likely suspects that developed is this: Justin Johnson, aka Straight Drop, and Jonathan Taylor, aka CEO Teasy. Now let's examine the 2 vehicles that were at the scene of the crime. One was the vehicle we talked about earlier, a white E-Class Mercedes. The one stolen by Terrion Owens was passed to CEO Bobby, then ultimately went in the hands of Justin Johnson. And the other car on the scene was a white Corvette and unmistakably identified to be one that was drove by CEO Teasy. The very next day, the world was horrified. Memphis gathered together at the site to form a vigil. That same night, shots were fired from the neighborhood Family Dollar. One person was shot and sustained a non-fatal wound. November 20th. The Mercedes-Benz E-Class getaway car was found at an abandoned house on 1100 block of Bradley Street. The very next day, Straight Drop releases a music video called Going Straight In which he can be seen rapping in front of the very same house in which the getaway car was found, on the 1100 block of Bradley Street. Straight Drop later on took the video down. Also that same day, Sunday, November 21st, the man who lived in the house next door was found shot dead. Then if that wasn't enough, a Memphis comedian made several jokes on social media about the murder of young Dolph. On November 26th, the comedian was shot and killed for his comments. On December 2nd, after being picked out of a lineup, Terrion Owens was released and set free. Also, they found fingerprints on the back quarter panel of the white Mercedes belonging to Cornelius Smith. Terrion Owens, on his way out the door, must have been singing, because he Houdini'd his way out of that situation after being picked out of a lineup the same day he was released. The Memphis Police Department issued a warrant for Justin Johnson and Cornelius Smith. And on that same week, a Compton rapper named Slim 40 shared a Young Dolph tribute. On December 9th of 2021, the rapper was shot dead. And on December 20th, Blac Youngsta released a song called Assumin', where he can be seen rapping in a cemetery in front of a crypt with the word Thornton, Young Dolph's last name, cementing the ultimate disrespect of dissing the dead. Then on January 10th, Justin Johnson said he would turn himself in the next day. Instead, he fled to Indiana and released a new music video called Trackhawks. That same day, Cornelius Smith was arrested. The next day, Justin Johnson, along with a man named Shundell Barnett, was arrested in Indiana, fleeing from the police. Justin Johnson was then extradited back to Shelby County. But on January 21st, Shundell Barnett, however, the Clay County Jail in Indiana, spoke with Shelby County, in which they said that they would no longer be requesting a transfer for Mr. Barnett. So on the 21st, Shundell Barnett was released. But soon after, police would be kicking themselves because they would be looking for him all over again. Shundell Barnett can also be seen in a video with Blac Youngsta as part of his crew. And then on February 21st, 2022, police identified two more persons of interest and had a warrant for their arrest. One was 26-year-old Justin Taylor, who we previously mentioned his white Corvette was at Makia's cookie store during the time of Young Dolph's death, and another 26-year-old named Devin Burns. Not much is known about Mr. Burns at this time, but we do know that he has two other unrelated active warrants for his arrest, including aggravated assault and theft of property between $10,000 and $60,000. Now that you know that Cornelius Smith was involved in the robbery of the Mercedes E-Class and is a part of Blac Youngsta's gang, but you must also know that on November 2019, Cornelius Smith's little brother, Little Migo, signed to CMG Heavy Camp Records, becoming a part of Yo Gotti's crew officially. And on November 29th, 2019, Yo Gotti and Blac Youngsta presented Lil Migos with an iced out Heavy Camp chain to celebrate him signing. And further complicating this situation is Young Dolph's affiliations. Young Dolph thought he could be fluid and move from set to set, but that wasn't the case. Young Dolph used to deeply associate himself with True La Mafia, but recently has began to distance himself. And also during this time, he signed Big Moochie Grapes to his record label, who is a Grape Street Crip, which is enemies with the Trula Gang. Both sides are beefing heavy and have taken multiple bodies on each side. And Big Moochie Grape even got his PRE chain snatched by Trula Gang. Trula Gang also has a younger set called Ape Gang. And in Ape Gang, you can find CEO Bobby, JoJo Splat, Straight Drop, Terrion Owens, Joshua Taylor, Devin Burns, and just about everyone else connected with this story. So what does that tell us? We know for a fact that Trula Gang did it. But what else do we know? We know that Yo Gotti and Blac Youngsta is also connected with Trula Gang. We even have footage with Yo Gotti's older brother, Big Jew, with CEO Teezy. Also, a rapper by the name of Big Scar was a part of Trula Gang and had many followers until he had to split off into his own group called Double R. And Big Scar also became a Grape Street Crip, and there's a lot of speculation that young Dolph introduced him to Gucci Mane, put him in the position of being signed. Between that and a lot of people being unhappy that young Dolph was signed a Crip and completely ignored the own set that he was close to, Trula Gang gave Yo Gotti and Blac Youngsta the perfect time to whisper in Trula Gang's ears, because Blac Youngsta knew once he could betray young Dolph in the streets as a traitor, then he'd have a lot easier time getting his way. We're still getting to the bottom of this thing and more information comes out daily, but it looks like Blac Youngsta was most likely behind this, and whoever was, I hope we get justice for young Dolph. I don't know everything Dolph was doing, but he seemed to be an inspiration to the community and has left the legacy of a legend. And also, it's worth noting that Trula Gang has a large-scale car thief ring. Joshua Hewlett, aka CEO Bobby, was found in possession of 5 stolen cars, including 2 found parked in his driveway. Alright, that about wraps up our story for today. Hopefully you now know who the triggermen were, which gangs were involved, why, and who called the shots. I'd like to say that the case is ongoing and evidence is still mounting. If you want to hear more stories like this in the future, please like and subscribe.